Welcome back everyone, and for those that are new, welcome. I'm DarkHour717. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the weekly news review for the week ending on the 28th of May 2022. This is where we're going to cover all the previous week's happenings and news from the Star Citizen universe. But before we get started though, if you enjoy these updates, please do me a big favor and hit that like and subscribe button, as it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And as we continue to reach for that 5,000 subscriber mark, it really will only take a fraction of the 88% of viewers not subscribed to hit that mark. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed though, I do really appreciate it, and make sure to stick around to find out how you can get entered into the giveaway for Mystic Expanse with LTI and the Stardust Paint. And also remember, you only have a few days left to get your entries in for the subscriber screenshot contest. If you're interested in that, all the details are on the community page for how to enter. This week we have seen Invictus 2952 celebration continue as manufacturers show off their best military related ships. With the Legionnaire from Anvil being the newest concept that's been introduced, this boarding style ship will introduce an entirely new gameplay function and loop when it's finally released. This will allow for the forceful takeover of a vessel or attachment to any docking collar on a station or ship, and through hacking or breaching charges allow a boarding team to gain access. This will surely get used by the illegal as well as illegal side of gameplay users. Through the remainder of the week, we saw many sales occur as the free flight continues through till the 31st of May. Many people have been working using the CCU chain method to reach the ships that they've really desired, and Invictus though has not been without its bugs and frustrations. As we noted last week, the Ninetales event accidentally launched when Invictus began, and Seige was quick to correct that situation as it did cause numerous server crashes. Since then, we have encountered many other smaller bugs that, though not game shattering, have been an absolute menace to a variety of players. Some of these include showroom elevators not registering or allowing travel to the showroom floor, and this is usually indicated by there only being a single button in the elevator. Also, rental bugs continue with long delays when renting or receiving an error as the process times out. Inventory issues have been a concern as well, with some items not appearing in the inventory such as paints, armor, weapons, and such. This is usually resolved through a character reset, but this in and of itself can also cause issues, as the time between resets was pushed back to 1 every 24 hours, and the time it's currently taking to complete a reset has gone from approximately 20 minutes to almost as much as 24 hours. Though these bugs and many other small ones do exist, it does not seem to really slow down the growth of new players at all. I think this is in part to the understanding it is an alpha, and these situations will occur especially when the servers are being overloaded more than they anticipated. As I mentioned, these have been mostly frustrations and minor annoyances while Invictus is going on and can be worked around, and the ability to fly and still enjoy the game does exist. Though not all bugs have been bad, it was discovered that there was a trading bug that was allowing for some massive earnings through the Invictus commodities. You could buy and then sell at Orisson admin, and you could double your funds every trip. This actually went on for several days, and people earning upwards of 17 million of AUEC per full load of AV equipment in a C2 were happening all over the place. This was resolved and corrected as of Thursday though, and AUEC stability has been returned, and all items are selling at their normal cost again no matter where you're selling them. But there are definitely a number of in-game purchase 890 jumps flying around out there. Of course, we got to see Drake DefenseCon begin on Saturday, with the newly arrived mule being introduced. And of course, we'll all have the opportunity to at least see firsthand the Drake Vulture. Though not flyable, it is accessible to see the interior and the pilot house. After that, we see the finale begin on the 30th of May, where once again you'll be able to rent all your favorite ships for free for 48 hours. Now, this will usually be done from the kiosks that are going to be in the showroom, and this will help facilitate those new rentals for that time period without having to change the showroom floors. This show, I would say, has been rougher than previous Invictus and IAEs, but has definitely been a good show with lots to see. And as a midpoint on the road to IAE, it really gets me excited to think of what new concepts and straight to flyables we're going to see when that comes in November. Also, don't forget that traditionally we do see Alien Week follow Invictus shortly, and very possibly maybe as soon as 3.17.2, where we'll get to see all the alien tech ships placed on display and made available to fly for free as well. During the middle of the week, all backers also got a special opportunity to run the Ninetales incursion at Orisson on PTU servers. This test occurred over a couple of days and allowed all backers who chose to get into the PTU and test the dynamic event as it prepares for release in patch 3.17.2. As a group, Amarok's Fang did participate and live stream the first night's test. You can check out the video I put together of the first impression at the link above, or check out the link in the description. The Ninetales Incursion event, I will admit, was absolutely amazing. The scale of the map was huge and the number of surgeons was plentiful and not too few. But the fact that the reinforcements could come in behind you as well through the many spawn closets added a bit of heightened awareness without reaching the point of constantly having to take 2 steps back. The event's time span is not short in any way and really can take several hours, much like the Xenothreat campaign. The need to really work alongside other players in your group adds an extra level of depth. Though no official Ninetales related missions are there for you to work the Ninetales side of things, but we did see groups that were trying to do this even without any reward being present. In these cases, when they are killed, they are typically sent straight to Klesher. The payout for this event is definitely not lacking by any means either. With a contract payout up to 380,000 AUEC plus bonuses, the money flows in quickly. Bonuses seem to come in at the 50,000 AUEC level, and being stuck in Klesher for half the time I was playing due to a friendly fire incident, I still walked away with over 500,000 AUEC. As I mentioned, a more in-depth review of the event is in the description, so check that out for more details. But this is scheduled to go live on patch 3.17.2, and I really cannot wait to get the opportunity to get in and run it again. This, I think, is going to be right up there with Xenothreat in terms of popularity. This will then bring us to our normal sources of information. As always, we start the week out with This Week in Star Citizen. Here we see that they mention the record-breaking traffic causing some degradation in the servers, as well as a thank you for everyone's patience. They do announce, though, the usual lore, roadmap roundup, inside Star Citizen, and Star Citizen Live for this week. But also point out that Friday brings in the latest in the subscriber Jump Point digital magazine. And Tuesday we did get the lore update, with Empire Report, Incredible Living Universe Scandal. This Empire Report is brought to us by Beck Russum and Elaine Gaither, who are interviewing Dr. Trent Q in regard to a recent scandal involving a popular educational show. This show was found to be falsifying finds in restricted areas, reporting new species of animals and life on outer planets such as Kellogg 2. With restrictions tight and a high cost for verification, many did not question or scientifically back up the claims and discoveries the show was presenting as science. Dr. Q speaks as to the ramifications of this, as well as the inability to understand why this would be done except outside of money exploits such as merchandising. It is an interesting look into the field of discovery and things that can happen when new discoveries are presented. Though not far from our own truth, a simple Google search will show that these things happen in real life for many reasons, from someone wanting to just make a name for themselves to monetary gains. It is a fun, very quick read and adds more depth to the Star Citizen verse. Wednesday brought us our latest in the roadmap roundup, and of course there was a lot of information here. They briefly review some of the points from the letter from the chairman and then get right into the release view, first and foremost listing the mule being released on Drake Day for 3.17. After that, it was target dates for 3.17.2, and we were looking at illegal delivery missions, AI planetary navigation, derelict reclaimers, Microtech and ArcCorp additional Lagrange stations, and the Seige of Orisson, all slated for a target of 3.17.2. After that, just as mentioned in the letter from the chairman, we see persistent entity streaming added to a 3.18 target date. And of course, after that, we saw the progress tracker with the listing of the Legionnaire as well as the Mule to all team schedules to account for their announcement. This is, of course, a lot of items to see on the roadmap, and the majority of it is slated for 3.17.2, though I will admit the Ninetales event is really going to be the favorite of mine to see come in. This, of course, brings us to Thursday with the latest episode of Inside Star Citizen, and first we saw Pack Mule. A look at the Drake Mule. Though there really isn't much to this little ground vehicle, we get a look at the intent for it and the fact that there's going to be more benefit to it with the cargo refactor. Though the players of Star Citizen will for sure get very creative with this little cargo hauler. They discuss the development of the Mule and really some of the key features of it. The one real big question for me is if it's supposed to help load items in the cargo refactor, then how is stacking going to work if it has no tractor beam? Or will you have to haul it to the ship and then use your hand tractor beam or a tractor beam on the ship that you're filling? This will be interesting to see for sure. After that, we went into a look of the RSI Scorpius with Scorpio Rising. Here they discuss the genre of two-person heavy fighters and the feeling it gives fighting alongside a teammate. They discuss the development of the moving turret system and the design of the split wings that scream X-Wing. The functionality of the wings going into their swept-back position is talked about, as well as the future benefits for using this feature. The episode itself is filled with more in detailed information and some amazing visuals, so check it out. There's going to be a link in the description. You can also check out Jared's confusion with the floor labeling of UK buildings and his choice of high-vis vests in a flashy neon purple or pink, which for some reason he wore again in Star Citizen Live. And of course that brought us to Friday Star Citizen Live with Jared in his hot pink high-vis vest. And of course this week it was not so live, as Jared was joined by John and Rich from the vehicle team as we look at Invictus all-vehicle Q&A. They began by discussing the newer ships versus older ships, and the need to go back and update the older ships for their component compartments. They did mention that we're going to see some minor changes to the interiors, though nothing major to the ship itself. Then they get into the role in future medium fighters and the role outside of cannon fodder for light fighters. As they discussed, they do want to make more changes to combat. They did discuss the balance pass mentioned last year and the need to figure out the next steps after all that they've done so far, and looking at the combat speeds and bringing those down as well, which they do talk as a reminder as to why moving the speeds down is beneficial. And this will help bring combat closer and not so likely to be just jousting, and introducing more control over combat and its geometry. They also discuss ship and vehicle stealth mechanics and what is holding that up from further development, and the need to finish combat speed issues first. It seems that as more topics are brought up, a number of these items are related to the work being done on combat speed issues, and that this has to be resolved before any real balance can truly be made and make further progress. They also get into the lighting and the turrets, and the need for turrets like on the mining arm and salvage arms may need a little bit more lighting, as these can point where they are working and not necessarily where the ship's lights are. They also discussed the possibility of a high beam, low beam setting like on vehicles today, and then they also went through the questions in regards to ship meta, and also reminded everyone as to the changes made to the arrow, and went on to speak about boats. They did explain that they do have the tech to do boats currently in game, though the fact that this would not really meet a use in the PU at this time, and it is something that will eventually come in down the line. This brought us to the ship updates with a question on the Polaris. They did verify on the last known work of the interior and hangar, as well as the small size increase. On top of that, components also got a bit of a buff, and they added a docking collar. The status of the 600i Gold status pass is in concept phase, and they added a docking collar and internal major rework. The status of the 600i Gold status pass is in concept phase, and are looking at adding a docking collar and doing an internal major rework, making the layout more sensible and moving the modular room to the rear of the ship versus the middle. They discussed the Aegis Retaliator Gold standard as well, and this has been paused currently, but all the changes shown before are still in place, as well as widening the corridors. What they have left is cockpit and front side and matching the exterior with the interior. The Misk Starfarer was also discussed in the Gold Pass and interior remodel, and no word really on when, but the interior will get reworked at some point. They'll be looking to keep the cockpit and cargo area the same while reworking all the other areas. As for the Ares starfighters, or as Jared mentioned, why'd you break my ion? John throws it to Rich and he discusses balance and making it work for the game now. Speaking that with the current weapon systems, the ability to deliver what they intended is not quite there. They did discuss all the suggestions of people for alternatives to what was done, and as John explains, they've tried all these recommendations and it did not work. And they mentioned that they felt how it was being used in its original iteration was borderline abusive. Again, this is not the final configuration, keep in mind, and as the game and combat evolves, so will the Ares. The Constellation is also discussed, as well as its future past, and addressing some of the struts as well as interior and component storage. And that pretty much completed the show, and a lot more information was there than what I can go over, so check out the link in the description for the full show. We did get a bit of final information this week with the latest edition of the Jump Point subscriber magazine, with a focus on Invictus and the development of the Legionnaire to start. This goes through the concept phase to their final design of what goes into this new ship. There's a lot of great information on the ship itself, as well as its intended role and what they really went through to reach the final design. After that, they move on to a background of Invictus launch week and its history in real life and inspiration it took from the Navy Fleet Week celebration. It covers the past Invictus weeks and what made them special. Then on to Galactopedia and the illegal pet trade, and discussing the Midas fish before moving into the lore behind Invictus in-game. And of course, at the end of the jump point, we see our subscriber flare for June, which will be some civilian clothes with pants and jackets called vaporware. And believe me, I think the pun was absolutely intended here. These are going to be some civilian clothes that appear to be more inspired by rock and punk, and we should be seeing these hit our inventories at the end of the first week of June. That was really the majority for this past week, and I hope everyone is enjoying the Invictus launch week. Don't forget to get your entry in for the MISC Expanse giveaway. Just subscribe here, leave a comment on any video to be entered. You can also get a second entry by heading over to Twitch and following over there. Winner will be drawn on June 1st. You can also catch our stream over on Twitch every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Also check out the community tab for the details again on how to get entered into the screenshot contest running through the end of Invictus. If you would like to help support the channel, check out the members page by hitting the join button. Memberships start as little as 99 cents per month, or you can check out the merch store or Patreon. I greatly appreciate all the support, and all of these sources go right back into providing for the giveaways that we give back to the community. Thank you again for watching, and please be safe out there, and we will catch you next time.